Okay, somebody give me a definition of apathy.
Apathy?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, exactly.
That's an example.
Definition of?
Frozen self-indulgence. How about that one?
What is it?
Frozen self-indulgence. I don't know where I got that from.
You don't care, right? How about volition? Abdu'l-Baha said that the three things that are needed, knowledge, volition, and action to accomplish anything. What's the definition of volition?
Will,
The will,
Will.
God, I really want to do it.
determination, yeah.
And how about a definition of quality?
Quality, like in positive quality would be a virtue.
It's such an individual thing. What I think's quality may not be what the next person thinks.
Characteristics? Characteristics of the thing? Maybe high standards? That would be better.
High standard.
It's something that is visual, right?
Well,
Or understood?
It could be more than visual, you know, it could be a line of poetry. Although that's, I guess you could say that's visual.
And what would be your intended goal for any plan or of action for service? The whole thing is about accompanying each other in service to a cause. So the question is, what would be your intended goal for any action involving service?
Bring together those that helped accomplish it, realize at the end that they were responsible and that they take a great deal of satisfaction from it. If I heard that from them, I would think that we accomplished it.
Love and unity.
Enhance the quality of the service. At the end, you walk away with the person smiling or satisfied.
Personally, I remember reading some of the books by Mirza Abu Fadl, and he said that the essence of any particular religion was always to take something and make it better.
Improve.
Okay, very good. We'll start section 2. And by the way, that is going to be the assignment we were to do before we read section number 2 of the text. So now we can read section number 2 of the text. I'll read the first paragraph. After describing the nature of the path of service traced out by the Institute courses, the message cited in the previous section continues as follows. To walk a path is a concept equally expressive. It requires of the individual volition and choice. It calls for a set of skills and abilities, but also elicits certain qualities and attitudes. It necessitates a logical progression, but admits, when needed, related lines of exploration. It may seem easy at the outset, but becomes more challenging further along. And crucially, one walks the path in the company of others.
yeah, do you want to go?
Another discussion in your group, this time on what it means to walk a path of service, will prove helpful in the explorations we are undertaking in this unit. Unlike the exercise in the previous section, this one will not include full statements made by others who have discussed the above excerpt in similar reflections. However, a few of the insights they gained in their discussions are shared here. In our efforts to walk the path, our volition is strengthened by hope, which springs from reliance on the power of divine assistance. We receive spiritual sustenance from the study of the Word of God, and this enables us to fight apathy. We exercise choice in giving up that which is lower for that which is higher. We strive to attain into purity of heart and try to avoid possessiveness, competition, paternalism, and a sense of superiority. In addition, several others have noted that the progression of institute courses is logical but not rigid. The main sequence of courses is focused on capabilities that individuals and groups need as they advance on the path of service. One person has made the following insightful remark. In walking the path, we align ourselves with the forces of integration and resist the opposing forces of disintegration that sap our energies. No one can do this without the support and encouragement of others.
Did you just read the intro to the?
In the spaces provided below, you may wish to write down the insights your group gains from your deliberations on what it means to walk the path of service, citing examples from experience.
We have an example of to walk a path requires of the individual volition and choice.
Where's what is it?
Volition and choice.
Trust?
Choice.
Choice. Oh.
So requires your will to do it and your decision to move. To move forward. Does anybody have any examples?
In laws of physics, energy is of two forms. It's potential energy and kinetic energy. Kinetic energy is what you actually use to accomplish things. So kinetic energy is the gasoline going into an internal combustion engine to explode and give you the force of movement. But the potential energy is gasoline. You need the potential energy before you can have the kinetic energy to use it. And I liken the idea of volition to potential energy. You have to have the will, but taking that will and actually doing it is the next step.
Okay, I'll give a very simple example that actually you can all kind of relate to. A few months ago, after consultations with others, I had the will to bring together a group of friends to study Unit 1 of Book 10. That was my will. I made it action. I decided to put it into action. I made a decision. I had made a choice that at our last cluster meeting, I was going to have people sign up if they were interested. So there's an example. Simple one. You have an example. You just did it today. I want to hear the outcome too.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, won't know the outcome for a few days, but so I am proposing a junior youth group at my daughter's school, and today I had an information session for parents. So if we get at least 3 students sign up, we will have this class. I got it approved by the school and everything. So it was very nice. We had 3 parents and 3 kids come, and I met one of the facilitators. We're going to meet next week to talk about the first time.
What's the class about?
So we're using one of the junior youth group books that's about sort of the power of words and how to look at poetry, but it's also dealing with themes about friendship and how not to be blinded by prejudice and not to be swayed by propaganda or advertising and things like that.
Very timely.
They do have a little section on politics, but it's written. Yeah, so I'm waiting to hear who signed up.
But you had
Yeah,
the will.
I had the will.
to do that,
Yeah,
and you made a choice.
and
to
it
approach.
also goes to the next one. So it calls for a set of skills and abilities but also elicits certain qualities and attitudes. So I know that I can do this because I've had an opportunity to be accompanied in working with junior youth before. But I also think that the attitude going in is going to be really important. So I need to be humble about offering the class and making sure that everyone feels like they can participate and that the kids are, contributing their ideas to what we do.
And gaining the trust of the parents.
Looking at the word attitude, I see that constantly come up with human organizations. And I'm finding out that more and more people and their attitudes, they will have a tendency to look at how things would not work rather than how they could. So I think that, again, is an attitude adjustment that we can bring in terms of, rather than a defeatist, an optimistic way in which to search for ways in which it could work, and then the will to try to carry it out, which I believe is an essential attribute, especially now. More and more people are looking around, what can I do? That won't work.
That actually we're surrounded by. We're drowning in an ocean of people who look at everything, so many situations, all your situations you find yourself in as the glass is half empty instead of being half full. And so, the hopeful thing is that, okay, it's good, but defeatism is prevalent, and that's where, as part of what we can do, sharing the Word of God, giving hope to humanity.
I will also say being models.
Yeah. That's an essential way of sharing.
I was taking a few classes a few years back on organizational management, and I could read where things have been changing over the past years as far as the attitude that many of the bosses would take in their organization. And I was reading the effects of just how one person at the top, sometimes very rarely, maybe the second in command, but the one at the top really kind of sets the tone that can permeate through the whole organization. And, setting the right tone, meeting with the parents, I can see with your attitude that you've shown here that you're probably going to win their hearts to make a successful outcome. But it just got me thinking that we can look around, whether it's on the commerce side of business. I was in the military for a number of years. I used to see it on the ships all the time. In fact, I had inspection teams who go aboard. I'd know right away when meeting the captain of that ship what the ship was going to be like and the attitude of that crew, because it was being set every day. So it's important that whatever we're going to do here, that we pray and have the right attitude when we enter into any kind of an action program.
It's part of the consultation process that as a group arrives at a decision through consultation, but once you achieve some agreement on what needs to be done, the people who may not have really proposed that action or whatever, or maybe didn't feel it was what was needed, that they too need to drop their negativity and agree to wholeheartedly follow through with what the group has decided. Otherwise, you're not going to achieve the success. And then, of course, if whatever the action was that was proposed isn't successful, you've approached it properly and everyone's tried to make it work and it doesn't work, then you try to find something that does work. You don't play the blame game and say,
Now you have that experience.
Yes,
You've learned.
I try to indoctrinate Baha'i faith into my business meetings, and which was going to be a shock to some of the people that were working for me. But here's what I did. I said, look, I have to make the final decisions, but I depend on all of you to give us your input. Once you put it in the middle of the table, your idea, it's no longer yours. Anyone can take a shot at it, but you've got to get rid of your ego, not to hold on to that idea. In fact, you can make improvements on your own idea. Now, that was easy to say, hard to do, because when someone comes up with an idea and they really believe in it, and someone tries to shoot it down, what happens? They get very defensive and want to protect it. And then there's anger and there's all kinds of interpersonal relationships that are negative. But it can work. And I think that's another reason why setting the right tone and attitude at the very beginning of any action plan is so important. So whatever we're going to be doing, it's got to be out there so that we get rid of our egos and get all the ideas to flow, get all the creativity coming.
Absolutely. And Jim, that segues into it may seem easy at the outset, but it becomes more challenging further along. Why? Because we're dealing with human beings, and we all have to struggle with that ego. And that's what life is. One walks the path of service in the company of others.
Yes, let me share something.
Sure.
Probably I am confused. Service as a service should be like a state of the consciousness. Because decide to service is because probably we don't have the service inside. In other words, probably it's difficult to me to explain, but I think that this should be an error if I think to service. Because if I think to service, it's because I don't have this in myself. Service is a state of the consciousness that when it's reached, you don't need to think in service because you offer the service by default without the intention is the service per se, I think.
Yeah,
Service
ideally, people would be wired that way, and that's how it's intended, but that's not the reality of...
There's a lot of, in management organizations, in the last few years, service has become a catchword phrase that the leadership, another catchword phrase, our leaders are supposed to be servants. But a lot of the people would view their being of service, but they're being of service by telling you what to do.
Yes.
Whoops.
Yes.
So, along with that wish to be a servant of service, there has to be an ability to take in suggestions from other people and be open and receiving as well as participant in whatever actions are taken, in my view.
Yes. Good.
What is the relationship between one's religion and a state of being? I think you're trying to explore that.
Yes.
Yeah, I guess the other comment I would make is that attitude of service is one thing, and then
Can you share?
the path of service that you choose suggests that you see a goal in mind, or you see a series of steps that you want to take. So you've also thought hard about what you want to improve, because if you only have the attitude, then what you'll be doing is serving when opportunities arrive, but you might not have taken the steps to find a new avenue for service that leads you to a defined goal. So I think you're right, and I also think that it requires some meditation on where you want to advance or what you want to
And I think that I could clarify. The path of service is a journey. That at the last point is when you do the service as your lifestyle. Is that you don't think to service. Because we can do an example. We can sit here and just observe everything. And everything is in our service right now. This chair, this house, this atmosphere, all of you, the universe is serving to us. And he's not thinking to service. It's something that is there.
Well, I think what you're talking about is what we are all, maybe I'm not understanding right, but where all our goal is to be more like Abdu'l-Baha. And Abdu'l-Baha was our perfect exemplar, and he was the servant of God.
The servant
right?
of God.
The
Right.
servant of God. So, of course, Abdu'l-Baha didn't wake up in the morning and say, what am I going to do to serve? His life was service to humanity. And so, is that what you're...
Yes, exactly.
Yes, okay. So
Exactly.
that's another way of saying it is, look at me, follow me, be like I am, Abdu'l-Baha.
Yeah.
Mariela.
I just want to share you what I'm thinking about. We're talking about the book, about the examples, about the explanations, but I look in the terms, I look in all the terms tonight. But when we look in the hands, we not take attention maybe one finger. But the hands compose about 5 fingers. It's different size. Can be persons, can be groups, different religion group, can be different ideas, but they do something, but they not thinking why I do. They all together obey what I say. It's me thinking maybe I want to take my tissues, the water. They not say no. They are ready for do service, So in the community, private community, they all together has different qualities, each abilities, but this is working when it's private, while working in unity together, but not for each vision, because the center vision is God. So in the unity, my fingers working together to the hand for expression, for doing something, for help somebody, for take the heart, But it's about its unity, the qualities, virtues together. I only want to share in that.
Excellent
you.
example. Thank you. Very good. Thank you.
So what is this? So, do you remember?
I don't remember this.
You don't remember?
Oh, well then you're going to have to put up with my voice. All right. So this quote, that we end this section in this session, I think, tonight, because the time is past 9. It just past 9. So the concept of the path will be present in our deliberations throughout this unit. Let us end this section by memorizing the following quotation. Well, we're not going to be memorizing it, but we can sing about it, and maybe it becomes a little bit easier to remember and to bring. When Jennifer and I did the study of this book, the person who was leading the study had a beautiful, lovely voice and had this quotation to a song. And I don't have a beautiful, lovely voice, but I will try to remember the song, okay? And it's a call and response, repeat after. So, work thou to consider the world.
Work thou to consider the world.
And now we say it together. And realize how fleeting are the things that pertain unto it. Do you remember a tune at the tune? I was relying on Jennifer. Okay. And then we say, thou wouldst choose to tread no path.
Thou wouldst
choose to tread no path. Except the path of service to the cause of thy Lord, to the cause of thy Lord. And then again, the last part was, none would have the power to deter thee from celebrating his praise. Though all men should arise to oppose thee, and then you repeat it. None would have the power to deter thee from celebrating his praise. Though none should arise to, though all men should arise to oppose thee, wert thou to consider this world, and realize how fleeting are the things that pertain unto it. Thou wouldst choose to tread no path,
Thou wouldst choose to tread no path,
except the path of service to the cause of thy Lord, to the cause of thy Lord. And none would have the power to deter thee from celebrating his praise, though all men should arise to oppose thee. And none would have the power to deter thee from celebrating his praise, though all men should arise to oppose thee. And so this is from Baha'u'llah in Gleanings. And that's how they wanted us to end this session, and to remember it.